Moroni said his name would be had for good and evil among all nations, kindreds, and tongues. Joseph Smith, the founding prophet and first president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, has said to be one of the least accessible major figures in the history of American religion. Stephen Marini, a religion professor, says the Joseph Smith Papers will forever change that by producing a monumental critical edition of every document written, dictated, or supervised by the Mormon prophet. In 2001, the church ventured with Brigham Young University to create one place to house all the documents of Joseph Smith, from journals, documentaries, histories, legal and business records, to translations and revelations from God. Andrew Hedges, a co-editor of the papers, has spent the last 14 years studying the life of the prophet.
And we've had the records, we haven't really had the money or the historians in the past to give a detailed, nuanced history of the church.
Now, over thousands of documents, which have been scrutinized by over 60 accredited scholars and editors, are available in a matter of just seconds online at josephsmithpapers.org.
But at the base of everything, there's a text. And so the first thing, and arguably the most important thing with the papers, is getting the text right. And it's not as easy as it might sound. There's all sorts of spelling issues, and depending on who the writer is, sometimes you have no idea what this word, even sometimes what these letters might be.
Hedges says they often use other historical records like journals, newspapers, and tax and property records to understand the context of the time. The editors even undertake a 3-step verification process for each document.
So that somebody who wasn't living at the time, somebody who drops into Joseph's journal, will actually be able to understand what the entry is talking about, who these people are, what the events are he's referring to, just so you make sense of it. Otherwise, it's just kind of a bunch of disjointed lines, and you're not quite sure who he's referring to or what's going on, because we're not living there. We're not palling around with these people.
The very first words of the first revelation given to him on the day he organized the church were, "Behold, a record shall be kept among you."
With increased transparency, however, many have questioned the church's history with various concerns.
Life is sticky. Life has a lot of trial and error and ebbs and flows. And we haven't been able to include that complexity in the past as we've told it, but now we can.
Hedges invites anyone who wants to gain a solid entry-level foundation of Joseph to dive in by first studying the journals and annotations, and then to closely study the document series, which are focused on early revelations of the church.
The more you get into Joseph Smith and the records that we have on Joseph Smith, the better he looks, and the more, I don't know, for me, the stronger my testimony grows of him, the closer I look at him. And I hope people will take the time to look at him closely and not be swayed by something they might quickly read on the internet or one or two sources thrown at them out of context. You look at Joseph Smith in context, up close. He is everything that he claimed to be.
A division of the U.S. National Archives endorsed the papers, and general authorities of the church also play an active role in overseeing the project.
I think their primary concern is historical accuracy. They also want to make sure that we are truly being good historians. More than once, I have spent a lot of time researching a topic, coming up with something I thought was good. We've turned it into review for our general authority advisors, and they have come back with very insightful suggestions and criticisms, and occasionally calling me to task on, you know, the idea being, I know this is what other historians say, but I think it's rather gratuitous of you to just accept what other people are saying, what's really going on. And they've sent me back to the records to look more carefully, and invariably I have found that there was more to the story than what is being said.
John Turner, a historian of American religion, says the Joseph Smith Papers is already the single most valuable resource for students of early Mormonism. for their attention to detail, for their abundant citation of other primary sources, for the lavish inclusion of photographs and maps, for their contextualization of Smith's prophetic career. The Joseph Smith Papers is indeed a great and a marvelous work.
I had a strong testimony of Joseph Smith going into them. I have that same strong testimony after 14 years of looking at Joseph very, very closely, looking essentially at every facet of his life for which we have a record. I've looked at what other people have said about him. I've looked at what he has said. I've seen it all, and I am a firm believer that he is everything that he claimed to be.
My mission is to testify of Jesus Christ. I know that